that feeling, because we literally had 40 quid in our arse pocket to open this business with. 40 pound, I remember it, two £20 notes in my pocket, and that's all we had. And it was like, literally all in, and it was like, right, we're going to start a business on 40 quid.
So I'm Dan, I'm from the Dip Monkey Garage, and we customise cars and bikes.
My name is Claire, and I am one of the owners of the Dip Monkey Garage. And at the Dip Monkey Garage, we customise cars for a living. But what we actually do is, sounds really corny, but we make dreams happen. When we've made dreams happen, we have so many customers that come to us with either a car that they have spent years and years and years to find, they finally got it, or it's been a car that they've eventually got that they've wanted since they were a kid. And when they come to us, they want to make it really personalised and unique to them. And when they come into the garage and they talk to us about their vision, if you will, it's kind of mine and Jan's job to get inside their psyche and see what they're seeing and make that happen. So whether that be through the route of the custom paint side of things that we do, the hydro dipping side of things, the lighting, the body kits, all of those sort of things that make a car different to what you see on the road. That's what me and Dan do. So when I say making dreams happen, that is basically we're creating that dream car for someone.
I think what differentiates us from other companies is we like to do what's not been done before. We like to try out new paint jobs, and the wild and wacky side of things, that's what we like to do. I think it all stems to that decision. Boom, we're going to do it, make the jump. I think going back to the early stages when I think Claire at the time had more belief in me than I did in myself, and making the jump from the full-time job going into running your own business, doing your own thing. And Claire said she believed in me that I could start it, and Claire still had her job at the time. She said, take the leap. She goes, I will look after everything else we need for the house. And I've never really sort of had somebody to support and believe in me that way, to give me an opportunity to jump in feet first.
First off, it started with Dan. Basically, Dan had always been into doing up cars, doing up his own cars, and we very much as kids worked on the driveway and created what we sort of wanted our cars to look like. And then Dan moved into this unit, and I think at the time he had it more for storage at the time for a couple of his own little projects. Dan had started going into the vinyl, the vinyl wrap side and the spraying wrap side of things, and I tried sort of pushing forward with that, creating a type of business. And I looked at it and I was like, I want in on this as well. I want to be here with him doing this, being our own boss and creating something. So I threw myself in at the deep end and took on hydro dipping.
Well, I suppose when I was younger, I was always looking to modify a car or make it faster or do something to it. And I was like, I had crazy ideas, and I thought, right, I'll go and speak to a company with a crazy idea, and they were like, you're crazy. And I was looking around and always had this passion to do something. And obviously when I was younger, I felt like I needed help and, go to professionals as you were when you're young. And I realized for the ideas that I had, there wasn't anybody. And so then I had an idea, do it yourself. So I guess that's where the Dip Monkey thing came from originally, yeah.
We were both working separately. I was working in a company in Liverpool and Dan was working in Southport. You were running a bar in Southport, weren't you? Mm-hmm. And when he sort of had this unit and he started off doing, was it the plastic dipping?
Yeah, spray wrapping, yeah.
Spray wrapping, it wasn't the Dip Monkey Garage, it was just nothing really, was it, at the time? And he was just sort of getting his feet and sort of getting in there type of thing. And I said to him at the time, I said, listen, I said, you know what? I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I always knew I wanted to be self-employed. And I think you kind of had that same vision for yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And we were so tired of basically lining the pockets of other people, weren't we? That we were like, no, we want a slice of this for ourselves. So I said to Dan, I said, listen, I said, you just got to do it. And I will keep working and covering the bills and doing everything that I could with having that regular income. And I was like, just jump in. I said, and at some point I will follow. So we kind of did that for a while, didn't we? And I remember Dan kind of left the bar, and that was like really scary, because that was like we were down a wage.
One of my first projects of the do-it-yourself thing, I had a BMW years ago. It was silvery grey, quite a nice car, nothing too exciting, and then I just really wanted a blue one, a bright blue one. I guess we're like looking into it, can I paint it, can I wrap it, and then I found another way of sort of doing like a spray wrap on it. I did my homework, did my research, and yeah, so I kind of like did a full vehicle colour change on my own to see how it worked out, you know, and it did. And then that led into one thing into another, and here we are today.
And then what I was kind of doing is Dan was working in the unit and trying to get the ball rolling with that aspect of things. I remember travelling to Liverpool Monday to Friday and doing Saturdays as well as overtime. And I was getting there for 5:30 in the morning, working all day, driving back, going to pick the pups up, because we had two dogs and we had Alfie and Luca, didn't we? Going to pick them up, feeding them, getting them in the car, coming down to the unit. We'd work till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Easy sometimes,
and then we'd go home, I'd fall into bed, you know, and then I'd be up again the next morning. I'd get in the car, go to Liverpool, you'd go to the unit. And we did that for a long time, that just continuous grind over and over. And
I remember at times I'd close the bar up at like midnight, or if it was weekend, it'd be like 2 a.m, you know. And then, but there would be like another customer here that was expecting a Mercedes CLS, for example. I remember one night, I closed the bar up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Earlier that day, I'd done a full paint job on a set of wheels, and a lovely Mercedes 4-door coupe. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, coming in here, opening up, getting the tyres back on the wheels, getting the car back on the floor, so the customer could then come and pick it up at 8:30 in the morning, the following morning. I was literally going home like 3 hours sleep.
Dip Monkey's greatest moment. Do you know, there's been, over the years, quite a few amazing moments. I think one side of it being that we've survived through some really tough times. I think we need to sometimes take credit for that. But some of the most amazing moments, I think one was doing a lot more work in our community with the Mayor of Sefton at the time, Claire Carragher, who's become a fantastic friend of ours. Meeting her and doing some of the most amazing projects in the town alongside her has been like an amazing moment. And secondary is probably going to SEMA at the end of this year. We're actually creating a build of our own alongside Petrol Hedonism, Chiro, the guy who runs Petrol Hedonism, and we're taking probably the smallest car to one of the biggest shows of the world. I think that's got to be right there at the top.
Well, I drive a Mustang. She's 28, 29, nearly 30 years old. Yeah, she's a 90s Mustang. She's not just any Mustang though. She's known as Sheriff Sally. She looks like a Need for Speed police car in a way. I suppose the 12-year-old boy inside got the better of me when it comes to designing that one. And it spits 10-foot flames. What more do you want?
Fast forward a little bit, and I'd got into the hydro dip and adnite, and you'd got more into the actual paint game, which was getting rid of the whole plasti dip situation. And actually you kind of did it the wrong way round, learning your skill, because to be applying that type of product with those types of guns to then shift straight into paint, it's a whole different world. And he kind of did it the back to front way, didn't you?
Someone asked me at a show last year, so we've done a few custom colours when it comes to like your metal flake stuff, or you kind of get like your chameleon colour shifting stuff. It'd be like blue, purple colour shifting stuff. Those kind of paints and pearls and pigments are really difficult to paint. You've got to layer them so smooth, so even. And people sort of say to me, like, where'd you even learn how to paint them sort of kind of colours? Because a lot of guys have just done regular cars in, doing silver and reds and stuff. And I kind of started off with the spray wrapping side, learning how to paint the custom colours before I knew how to paint the basic colours. So I learned the hardest colours, spraying them in like a rubber paint, which was the plastic dip spray wrap stuff. And then, so that I kind of learned to do that before I got more into the painting game. So I kind of learned everything backwards. Yeah, so Mustang Sally, we take that car all over the country, any shows we can get it to. She doesn't like to miss an appearance. Sadly, last year she did miss an appearance though. We had some engine problems and we had to break her down for a full rebuild, and we were chasing the deadline. We were getting parts in from America, trying to get everything in, and we just couldn't marry everything up in time, so we missed one show last year. But as a rule, she does make it.
Being together and working together and having a business together, the personal side of it is a big reflection on all of that. And we've had some really low points in our lives, really, really low, that obviously I wouldn't go into depth with on camera, but they've been really tough. And if I could go into depth with it, I think it could be quite shocking, but we've made it through those times. And I think some of the other hard times that we've had is the lack of money and just general things that I think a lot of people face anyway. But when you find yourself below the breadline quite a lot and struggling to keep going and keep a roof over your head and keep your responsibilities and your bills paid and your bills at your unit paid and find work and be smiley and happy and manage all of that's really tough, and it takes its toll, and it takes its toll on me and Dan as well as the unit that we are, even though we're so strong.
One of the proudest moments was getting the opportunity through Petrol Hedonism to go to the SEMA show in Las Vegas, which is basically the biggest automotive trade show in the world. Every TV show I've kind of watched from a young lad going up, they've always restored and built a custom car or a classic car to take to that show. And it's just only something that's been on TV. And then we actually got to go there last year, and then to just stand there and meet some of these builders and TV personalities and people I've watched on TV, and sort of to stand with them and have a chat with them. That was an amazing moment in the Dip Monkeys history.
And we've had the no equipment, we've had the broken equipment, we've had the cheap equipment, we've had all of that. I mean, even like how many times at like Christmas and birthdays would Mouse, Mouse is my mum, everyone calls her Mouse, so if anyone watching this who knows us knows the almighty Mouse. Mouse would say to myself and Dan, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for birthday? Dan would be like, can I have a spray gun? And I'd be like, can I have something from my compressor? Can I have that? It was always sort of the input from like Mouse and Sean at Stamford Road. The amount of time Sean's come in with equipment for us and, lent us things, given us things, bought us, gifted us things and everything. It's been those people, our nearest and dearest, who have like kept us going when at times we've been like, we need a roll of masking tape and we ain't fucking on it. It's like, it's been pretty crucial.
I think we've been very lucky with the support we've had from like your mum,
very
people like Sean We always find a way, but just having that little bit of a support network and
Oh, it's been a massive help. If we hadn't have had them, we wouldn't have survived as much as we have over the years. And I think that has to, you know, we're always proud of saying that, because it's not been easy, and it's definitely the hard graft. It has been hard graft, but it's not just been down to me and Dan. It's been massive input from people like Sean and Mouse, and, you know, other people along the way that is, you know, has really encouraged us and pushed us forward, and has been our saviours at certain times as well, hasn't it? Yeah. We've also learned a lot about the people around us. We are blessed in some ways where we've had some amazing people around us, and we've met some amazing people that support us 110%. And then we've learned some things about some people around us that have shocked us, and it's a funny old thing when it comes to hard work and success. You lose people along the way that you thought were part of that journey with you. So that's kind of been a big wake-up call, and there's been some sad times over the years, I think we can safely say. So yeah, there's been some rough times. One of my fondest memories that I hold on to for me and you is when we branded the unit and the business as the Dip Monkey Garage, and we kind of painted the walls, and there was cupboards put in and workstations put in and things like that, and we kind of made it something.
Yeah.
And that morning we were due to officially open, announce to Facebook and Instagram and everything, and that we were open. I remember us standing outside and unlocking the padlock on the front, and that feeling, because we literally had 40 quid in our arse pocket to open this business with. £40, I remember it, two £20 notes in my pocket, and that's all we had. And it was literally all in, and it was like, right, we're going to start a business on 40 quid.
Day zero, starting out. I'm trying to think now. We kind of had this place already, but had a main, you know, full-time job. And then the hardest thing was making that jump, starting a business from scratch, with no backing, no financial support, nothing else. And it was just a real leap of faith moment, like, you know, 100% in it, or, you know, or nothing. And I think those early days, making that decision and making the jump, I'm glad I did, but it was definitely one of the hardest moments.
I think sometimes it's one of the hard decisions that we face is basically the decision between what is black and white and being headstrong and methodical and doing things the right way, and then going with what our heart wants to do and the excitement of things. So for example, how I can put that better, the sort of line of work that we do, and being up and down the country as much as we are at all these different shows and presenting ourselves in the cars, and, you know, our amazing customers that come with us and display with us and everything. When we go to these shows, it costs time, it costs money, it's all of those things thrown into the mix. When we're not in the unit, we're not earning, and we're out and we're spending to be at these places, to represent ourselves and things like that, that your head's telling you, you should stay back and say, no, we're not doing this particular show. But your heart is like, dude, that's London, that's Wembley, that is, you know, that is a serious show, we've got to be there. But on the same score, I'm like, darn it, I need gas and electric and fuel. So that's where you get them really tough times. And I think me and Dan, when we discuss these shows and things where we have to put the input in like that, there's times where I'll say to him, how are we going to get there? How are we going to do that? How much work do we need to do to get there? And Dan's like, I know, but if we don't do it, we're going to miss this opportunity, we're going to miss this situation, this, that and the other. And that causes a little bit of conflict between us. But on the same score, we both know we've got to do it. So it's kind of taking the rough with the good along the way.
trying to establish ourselves, but we were trying to price ourselves to, as a new business, to get the work in. And then I think sometimes people could sort of prey on that as like a weakness. And I think I can recall back to a good few jobs I did back in the day, early days, and the money I charged for them, and I'd be working all day, all night, going the extra mile for very little money in a way. So, and then to come out at the end of it with almost no reward sort of thing. It was very tough, and then to keep going into the next jobs. But emotionally challenging, early days, building your reputation, not easy.
Angry moments, I have loads of them daily, quite regular. Did you ask Dan this question? Because usually he's the one who's quite chill and calm, and I'm the one who's like losing my shit. Angriest moments, yeah, there's been a few over the years. There has been a few. Do you know, there is one in particular, but I don't know if it's PG enough to... No, I best not. Angriest moments, ones that I can disclose on camera. Do you know, I think some of our angriest moments that we've had is been situations where, because me and Dan are Dip Monkey Garage, and it's just me and Dan, and we kind of do everything ourselves, but along the way over the years and everything, we've had one or two people that have sort of come into the garage, and we've given them a space and some floor space to kind of do their thing as well and stuff like that, and then they've progressed, moved on and gone into their own line of work and things like that. And some people have come into the fold of DMG, if you will, and it's come to light sometimes that they've implied that they're more to do with Dip Monkey Garage. So that kind of has annoyed me a little bit over the years, but in one way it's I suppose it's a nice thing, because people have felt really a part of it, and that they've kind of wanted to say, well, I'm DMG as well. But I think it's made me angry over the years, because it's me and Dan in here 18 hours here and there, 16 hours, 7 days a week, working through breakfast, working through lunch, working through dinner, and just grabbing a butty and working all the way through the night. And it's just me and him, and things like that have kind of peed me off a little bit.
So I think for the social media aspect of things and how it helps the business, I don't know where to start. To be honest with you, I class that as like my other job, because it's so time consuming to get involved, to stay sort of like I think you've got to stay relevant in this day and age with social media and stuff, and that's all well and good, but it's the time involved.
So much time.
Yeah, to do that, to be able to post every day or have like a schedule, and even so, doing the work in here is one thing, and then trying to film it, photograph it, edit it together, get it out on the platforms, and that in itself, and sometimes we can work till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I think, right, this project needs to go online, and boom, before I know it's midnight, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you start editing videos.
It drives me crazy, the amount of time that Dan does spend doing the social media side of things for the business, but without Dan doing that, we wouldn't get the traction and the notoriety that we do get.
I think there would be like a collaboration of moments there, as we've built up over the years, from the hard work we've put in, we've built up a very loyal customer base. And so we've gone from doing like smaller jobs to bigger jobs. And then we got to a point where we were taking on full custom resprays. People's pride and joys were coming to us for a full hit, a full makeover. And that's something I'd always dreamed of. And I used to always look at like custom paints and geeky stuff, and oh, it would be cool to paint a car that colour. And now we're the people that people bring their cars to do that too. And so moments like that as they progress, super cool, super cool.
When I'd started hydro dipping, obviously that's the side of the business that I do. When I started hydro dipping, quite a few of our friends and everything gave me some parts out of their cars and things like that, and it was trial and error and practice, and basically effing up plenty and just trying to get my head around it. And I kind of busted myself as far as I could to make sure I got it right. And that moment where I kind of nailed a couple of those jobs for friends who trusted me with the parts, I did that, and then it was like, right, let's advertise this. This is what we're going to do. This is what Dip Monkey Garage is bringing now to the public. And it was getting that first inquiry, like that first message pinging on social media. And it's like, hi, I've got a BMW. Can I have my interior hydro dipped in carbon? And I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. That is probably one of my happiest moments. And you know, obviously, I come back to it, but it's SEMA. I mean, we are 6 years in to doing what we do, and me and Dan kind of had a game plan in the beginning that we were like, one day we'll get to America. Dip Monkey Garage will get to America. And it's happened in between 5 to 6 years, and that's like, what? That's crazy. So I think when we got that phone call off Chiro, when he phoned us and he said, listen, I've got this idea. Obviously, I'm going over to SEMA and I've got this Fiat 500 and it's a classic and I want to do it up and kit it out and make it as crazy as possible. And we were like, yeah, great, we're excited for you. And he was like, and I want the monkeys involved. Dan will tell you, he was like, what? And I was like, what? Like that. And I just lay down on the kitchen floor and just lay there. Like, because I couldn't believe it. We were going to America. This is what we're doing. So I think those two moments, one at the very beginning and currently, are probably, they're on the map. I mean, I do admire you for your continued just tenaciousness with it.
Yeah, well, I think the last year or two, I guess we've kind of, well, as the term goes, and we've gained a bit of traction online, you know.
Yeah.
So, followers have been going up and getting some big hitting views on the videos and stuff, and some of the
Massively, yeah.
And that's almost quite rewarding in a way.
Yeah.
I think social media is quite addictive, and obviously we use it to promote and advertise our business. And I think for the first couple of years of the business, I've always done it. I kind of did it religiously every day. Every job was photographed, videoed. As social media progressed into like reels and stuff like that, I started learning, I need to learn how to make these videos now, and then educate myself on that, and then keep pumping it out. And I kind of did that for years and years, and we kind of went from like 1,000 followers. Year later, 2,000 followers, which by social media terms these days is zero, is nothing. But it was steadily building. But it was like a lot of hard work for not a lot of sort of gain, sort of thing, you know, because social media is almost a game, really. You're almost trying to beat the algorithm and get the numbers higher and stuff, and it's quite addictive. But we're getting some of the higher numbers, and we had videos last year especially when we unveiled the Rocket Bunny BMW with the metal flake.
Yeah, the metal flake job.
And they got like 6.8 million views. And
that was crazy. That just took off. Do you remember when I remember Dan sitting, putting that, is it a reel?
Yeah.
This is what, I don't do the social media, it's quite obvious.
You're not the tech guy, yeah?
No, I am not the tech person. Dan was putting that video together, that reel together. Mm-hmm. I was cooking the dinner at the time, and I was like, Christ, we get off that phone for 2 minutes and just sit down and have something to eat, like you need to unwind. And he was like, no, got to get it out. It's been seen at a show, it's been seen at Wheels Up North, got to get it out. And you got it out there, and we were sitting eating our dinner, and the phone started ping, 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 and it went on and on and on. So much so, I actually phoned Mouse, didn't I? Because my mum and dad live next door to us. I said, just come over and see this. This is the weirdest thing. Because I think that was the first time that we'd got that real
one of the first influx, to go,
wasn't it? And she come round and the phone was still ping, ping, ping. And it was going that fast, that continuous, that the phone was glitching. And it was like, it was the craziest thing to watch, wasn't it? And Dan, like, seeing Dan's face, because he'd spent so long educating himself on how the platform works, how the algorithm works, how to do reels, how to do this, how to do boomerang, is that a thing anymore? No?
Still happens on stories.
Okay, whatever. Doing that. And he sat there and he was just like, whoa, I've done it. I've mastered it. And it was impressive. It was crazy. And then that's when the followers started coming through and it just kind of, it just soared from there.
I've got so many ideas. I think we'd be here all day. I am a bit of a Mustang guy. I would love an early, late 60s Mustang to do resto mod it, you know, updated, bigger engine, do brake, suspension upgrade, custom paint job, make that body a bit wider. I think doing a retro old school Mustang would be pretty near top of the list. Second would probably be Lamborghini police car and other things. I've got so many crazy ideas, but yeah, an old school Mustang would be a top of the list for a dream project, that's for sure.
A big truck. I don't care what the truck is, as long as it's big, gnarly, rusty, and just obnoxious. I've just always been into trucks and motorbikes and things like that. So I think I'd like a side project of some sort of truck and really like kit it out and make it quite menacing. But you know what? I'm going to be really boring with this one, actually. Do you know what my dream project is? Is to get my Jolene and Dan's Sally absolutely perfect, because those two cars are, and at the end of the day, we know the Mustangs we have got are probably the most undesirable Mustangs out there that anyone could buy, but we love them. We absolutely love them. And them two cars, especially Sally, has very much thrown us out there into the public eye. And there's something about them two old girls that all the squeaks, the things breaking on them, needing parts and chasing things with them, that I think if there was a time where we got some time, they'd probably be my two dream projects, would be to get them absolutely immaculate and perfect and utter beasts.
On the social media side, so we do push it on the daily to stay relevant and keep ourselves up there and advertise who we are and what we're doing. And we're always up to doing something crazy or a bit of a funky finish on something. And but when you do start getting the hits, it is quite rewarding. It's that satisfaction bit, because it's just getting the opportunity to, I don't know, showcase your work in a way. And it's a giant stage, isn't it? You get to go on, and I think we're very lucky to have it.
I think as well. I drive you crazy with it as well, because Dan's always so on it all the time to film and photograph and, you know, be consistent and post daily, because that is the big thing with it, isn't it? Is to post daily. And I really let him down on that side, because there's loads of times that I'll be doing like a touch of airbrushing or stencil work or this, that and the other, and I'll just kind of go on there, because I'm always thinking of the organisation, the deadline, the this, the that, the other, that I'll kind of go off to the back, do something, create something. Dan will come over and he'll go, "Did you film that?" And I'll be like, "No." And he's like, you know, and he's like, "Don't understand, that's amazing content, it's got to be out there, you know." So I really let him down on that, and it drives him crazy. So I do need to get better with that. But honestly, I think nowadays with business, and I think you've definitely taught me this, because I was very close-minded with the social media type of thing, is businesses now, it's hand in hand, isn't it? It's business and it's social media. The two go together no matter what. And if you're not doing it, you're not going to get out there. And I think it's so important. And thank God, in one way, we do live in an era where we do have that ability to use to our advantage.
I think due to the nature of our business as well, though, we're not a regular garage.
No.
You don't come here for your brake servicing, MOTs. No. So, I mean, in a town like where we live, sort of thing, if you did have that sort of garage, you'd have your mainstream customers, because everybody lives local to you. Because we do more on the custom side of it, I don't know, it's almost like a bit of a luxury. It's not like you don't need to come here.
Yeah, it's not a necessity,
no.
Is it? It is a luxury thing that we do.
Trying to do custom paint jobs, working on bikes and cars, doing these sort of things in a seaside town where we live is almost quite difficult, really. So we almost need the social media meets to show people outside of the Northwest.
To bring them in.
Hey, you can come to us, look, we do this, and just trying to really get yourself out there. So when it comes to the hardest part of our job, I think it can be the mental side and the physical side. When it comes to people looking us up on our website, social media and stuff, they'll see boom, glittery painted car and all the bikes we've done and stuff. I think the hardest bit is what people don't see on social media. It's the graft behind it. It's the hours of sanding, prepping parts, and that's the side of it that I think people easily miss. But that's the bit that can really put the strain on, especially when you're busy, if you've got a couple of projects on and you just find there are not enough hours in the day. So instead of clocking off at 5, you can work a little bit longer just to catch up yourself, but nobody really sees that. And so that can be one of the toughest things, I think.
Hardest part. Right, okay. I just want to say, off camera to the side, Dan went like that is in himself. Correct, yeah. The hardest part is managing Dan. No, I'm joking. Yeah, and the others. Hardest part of what I do here, I think it's the juggling. It's the being your own boss, it's being self-employed, it's being your paperwork, it's being your organisation, it's being the secretary, it's being the PA, it's being the cook, it's being the cleaner, it's being doing the laundry at home, it's all of those things, it's everything, and it's a lot, and it takes its toll on myself and Dan as well. But I think when you're juggling as much as you are, and it's kind of like having, I've said this to my mum, for example, it's like kind of having a different head for every scenario that comes our way. And it's, for example, it's dealing with the good and the bad of the workload. It's dealing with the fantastic things that happen. It's dealing with being in the public eye. It's dealing with the trolls you get on the internet, because obviously the more popular you get out there on Instagram and Facebook, you're always going to get some Looney Tune that's going to say your eyebrows are terrible, and I'm like, I beg to differ, they're fabulous. So it's dealing with all of that and the stresses and strains and financial worries and things. So it's that as a whole, really. It's quite weighty, and it's a physical as well, because the type of work that we do, it's hard going. It's a lot of lifting, it's a lot of dragging, it's a lot of being motivated and on the go and long hours. So I think physically, mentally, all of the above, emotionally, it's a lot, and I don't know why I'm not losing more hair, really.
No, the social media side of things is very
It's important,
powerful.
isn't it?
I suppose when you're on these platforms as well, what you end up with is almost like a catalogue of your work as well. Because we pretty much put, I think 95% of all the jobs we do in here, everything does make it online.
There'd probably be a lot more if I actually filmed some of my stuff.
And so there's that side of it, so you can sort of have like an online catalogue there, and people can say, oh, we've done this, and oh, I really like that, oh, that's given me an idea.
Yeah.
People can use it for inspiration, to have a scroll through and see what we do. And then the other side of it is to just network with people, other companies and other people in the industry like-minded to us, like things we're doing with petrol hedonism, and we've got so many other friends in the industry. But through social media, we have friends down south as well, we have the same amount, if not more, friends down south than we do north of the country now.
And because of social media and how Dan uses it to our advantage in many ways, the business has gone from obviously sort of scoping to our area of Southport, and now because of the interest of social media now, that we get parts shipped to us, posted to us, couriered to us. It's like, you know, that's pretty crazy that we've gone from obviously just sort of being within our postcode area to being further afield, and people are getting in touch, sending us photos of what they want, sort of throwing a rough idea to us. We're then creating it, sending them images and videos back to make sure they're happy with the progress and where we're up to, and packaging it up and sending it away. Like, we've not met these customers, we've met them on like a social media platform messaging system, but we've not physically met them face to face. But they come back, and they come back for some more and more, and that's like that, to see that growth is really cool, isn't it? And that is because of social media.
It's the powers that it has, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, social media for Dip Monkey, there you go. We are quite happy with what we're doing. We're building up step by step. I think it'd be nice maybe one day if we could have a bigger premises, keep building the loyal customer base. Like I said, we do a lot around the country doing different shows, whether we could progress further in that side of things or whatnot, you know. But just importantly, building our reputation for what we are and building Dip Monkey as a brand and really just getting it out there. That is the main long-term goal, I think.
Now, anyone that knows me knows what this answer is, and it's world domination. I'm throwing it out there. It's on the vision board and it's world domination. No, I'm joking, but it is. I think my ultimate vision with Dip Monkey is to become a brand. Be the best at what we do, develop and evolve, become bigger and better, obviously, but to become a brand that people recognise, not just in this area and a little bit further afield. I mean, we're going to America. I want America to know who the Dip Monkey Garage is. I want them to know who Dan and Claire is, and I want them to want stuff on their cars from the Dip Monkey Garage. So that is the vision.
So the kind of people that come to us bring their pride and joy to us here at Dip Monkey, and then they trust us with it to do a transformation, a change, whether it's a paint job, body kits, adding things on. And I think the most rewarding bit is when they walk through those doors and they see their pride and joy in here with its new Dip Monkey look, and their faces when they light up, because they're car guys, bike guys and girls just like we are, and when they see the transformation and it's putting a smile on the face, and when job satisfaction is really quite there, and we see somebody so made up with it, and then you see that, you know, they can't wait to get them out to shows, local meets and stuff, and they're super happy with what you've done. And yeah, job satisfaction when people see the makeover, brilliant, never gets old.
Best part of my job is being a boss lady in the industry. I'm proud of that. I'm really, really proud of that. I think when it comes to cars, bikes, trucks, anything with an engine, that type of thing, it's predominantly more male based, we presume. Now, being in this line of industry that I'm in and doing the amount of shows that I do, I know there's a hell of a lot of badass women out there doing what the men are doing. And I'm not saying it's, you know, we're against them or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just we're not seen as much. And I think that is a big thing to be in this line of work as a female at my age. Doing what I do, it can be tough, but I'm proud of it. I like doing what I'm doing. I like being my own boss. I love working with my partner. I love working on cars. I love getting dirty. I love having masking tape on my finger because I've cut it today. You know, I love that. I'd rather do this 100 times over than do something else, for example. So I'm proud of that. I think that's my happiest is being me in this job.
Following on from this social media side of things, I would like to say thanks to everyone that's been involved with us on social media. Without the followers and loyal supporters, and whether it's friends and family locally or the guys in Africa and India that are following us as well, you know, but it all does make a difference. So you guys so far have been amazing, so thanks for helping us on our journey.
Thank you very much for that, for supporting us that, and just taking the time to watch the videos and comment and like. It just makes a massive difference. But I think I'd also like to say a few thank yous to some important people.
Definitely, yeah. I think when it comes to influential people in the business, and I think for the business outside of Southport sort of thing, what we do when it comes to going to shows, like we've touched base on with the SEMA build and stuff, I think there's a massive thank you's got to go to Chiro, who runs Petrol Hedonism.
Yeah.
It's through his organisation of events, and we got friends a couple of years ago, I don't. We just got on great, didn't we?
Yeah.
British Motor Show, and he's just kept us involved with things, and he's always invited us.
I think he had faith in us as well, didn't he?
In a weird and wonderful way, I don't know why.
He literally had trust and faith in us, and without Chiro's input with so many things, we would not be doing what we are doing now and progressing to do in the future as well. So there is a massive, massive thank you to Chiro, Petrol Hedonism, and obviously Chiro's team as well, and the guys that support him. Obviously that has an influx on us as well. So, you know, there's got to be a big thank you to Chiro. But I also would like to say a huge thank you a little bit closer to home as well, which is obviously with Sean.
Yes, definitely. Mr. T.
Maybe throughout this documentary you might get a chance to meet Sean. Sean is he's a gem, isn't he?
So go back to the beginning with Sean. So our big bearded brother.
Yeah.
So going back in the early days when I was messing with cars and stuff like that, before we had this place, I think we've had the building here for about 10 years now. So basically I would turn up at Sean's yard and he'd be like, all right kid, what's going on? I'd be like, want to put a new exhaust on this car because it's going to sound lovely. And he'd be like, what are you doing that for? And I say, can I borrow this? Can I borrow your jack? Can I borrow some tools?
Borrow.
I think he knew there was no harm in me. I was just an idiot that loved cars.
Yeah.
I think he quite liked that about me. And yeah, so I'd be down the yard, just getting in his way. Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm just borrowing that. Oh, thank you. You're not using that? Yeah, thank you very much. So anyway, got to a point, we were down there quite a lot, got good friends with him, we'd help him out as well when we could, between working and stuff. And then Sean found out about a unit in Southport coming available, and in the town we live, units for doing car stuff just don't come up very often at all. It crossed my mind for a couple of years, but I wonder if something came up cheap, maybe it'd be a good idea. Anyway, so Sean came to us one day, he went, listen, I know a guy, he's got a unit. Right, anyway, I want you guys to go and do your own thing now. Because basically I was just getting under his feet all the time.
Politely telling us to get lost.
But he sort of said, he goes, go and do it, you'll smash it.
He did it.
And I was like, no, I'll just get it. And I used to have like a lot of Japanese imports, so a mate of mine, Jason at the time, he had a Supra. I had me two 200SX, my S13s.
Yeah.
I think I had the Sleeker as well. And it was kind of somewhere just to put the cars in and work somewhere. But he's like, no, just go for it, jump and do it sort of thing, you know.
So Sean had like early faith in us, like early doors faith in us, and he's literally through thick and thin, through really tough times. I think Sean's bailed us out more times than I can remember. He's always been there through some of our really hardest times. Sean's been there, and you know, I trust him with everything. I could literally give him the unit keys and trust him with absolutely everything, because and without Sean we wouldn't be here. Without Sean I wouldn't have learned half of the paint skills that I've learned over the years. He's every day he teaches us something new, doesn't he?
He's years and years ahead of us in the game.
Yeah.
And we're always learning them as we progress through and stuff, but I must admit, we never get stuck. Sometimes it's not just get stuck, it's like, oh, I've made a boo-boo. And so sometimes you need that guy to be able to ring. He's like, I've done this and something bad has happened, where have I gone wrong? And he's like, right, I'll be there in a minute. And you know what, every time, within 5 minutes, he's always here. He's like, listen kids, calm down. We'll do this, we'll do that, be right, because we're lovely.
So there's obviously this Sean, and you know, we touch base with Mouse, my mum. Obviously Mousy and my dad have been biggest supporters of me and Dan, and obviously me and Dan have known each other since, Christ, how old was I when we met? 16?
16, 17 or something.
Yeah,
maybe
16.
About 18, 19 when we were mates.
Yeah, because Dan's a little bit older than me. So we'd met when we were teenagers and been friends for years and had flat shares and all sorts of things,
As
didn't
you did
we?
when we were young
And obviously, so my mum was a big part of that and a big part of Dan's life, as well as us separately and us now together. And they have been our biggest supporters, haven't they? They've kept pushing and pushing, and kids, you can do it. You've just got to keep going forward. It's hard, but you can get through, and it's been
Who
been
would have
great.
thought it when we were kids? And obviously we were friends for a long time as well, but imagine when we were like teenagers messing about kicking footballs around in car parks.
You mean when you kicked a football indirectly into my face?
That was a good shot.
Yeah.
But on that day, who would have thought we'd be doing what we're doing now?
That's That's true. That is true. So there's, and
After
bless
all
her,
these
my
years
God.
later, and then here I am. I was in front of you all along, and you just didn't see it, did you?
Good Lord, no, I didn't.
She's
see
a
it.
very lucky lady.
So there is that, but there's been so many other people, and
I think what's quite funny here as well. So we're a small business, and every small business has their clients and customer bases. What we tend to find is a lot of our customers kind of end up becoming like friends of the business as well.
Yeah.
So how that kind of works is we don't just always, well, obviously like Claire's reference, we do parts and send them all over the country, but we have a lot of like loyal people in the Northwest that come here with the cars. And then when it comes to us doing a show, we'll go out to a show down south or wherever we're going.
And that's a lot of miles that we're doing, a lot of miles and
we'll
time.
And we'll speak to Chiro and he'll say, right, Petrol Hedonism Underground, Wembley Park's going to be amazing, and bring some of your guys. And so what we kind of do, so our friends and customers, we've worked on their cars and whatnot, and then we kind of get them all together, and then we take them to Petrol Hedonism Underground at Wembley and show them all off. And so having customers that become friends of the business is quite unusual, but it's really
unusual,
lovely.
But it's a massive bonus. But I think as well, with the customers that we've had who've become friends and everything, every time we have a show to go to where we want to showcase Dip Monkey Garage, they're there straight away every single time, aren't they? And they're like, Donna, Tracy, the list goes on, Julian, they all come and support us. And that is, so basically what we're trying to say in a nutshell is, thank you so much for the love and support that you show me and Dan daily.
Because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today.
You know what, I'd like to say as well, thank you for watching myself and Dan's story at the Dip Monkey Garage. It's an in-depth one, and hopefully we'd like to tell you more as time goes on.
And it's a story we've never told before.
Very true.
Here we are and how it all began. So there you go. Now you know. And here's for the next one.
Thank you.